name is James Wanless. I have a PhD from Columbia University in political science, and you can reach me at jameswanless@comcast.net. My phone number actually 831-915-0178. And you can go to one of my many different websites. Intuition-blog.com is an important one for me, and VoyagerTarot.com. I do want to talk about tarot a little bit here, and particularly the Voyager brand of tarot, which is a deck that I created. And people always ask, how did I get from being a professor of poli-sci to reading the cards? My parents always wanted to know that one, after years of graduate work and all that kind of stuff. And it is an interesting thing. The tarot, a deck of cards, when you look at it, is actually a psychology. The 78 cards represent 78 universal aspects of each of us. So in a way, the cards can never, ever be wrong. It's only when you're trying to predict something, and I call it prediction fiction, that you're into some problematic, shaky grounds. But when you're looking into the cards to see who you are as an instrument and vehicle of insight and discovery, they are beautiful. They are magnificent. And the beautiful thing about the tarot also is because we pick the cards face down, we don't know what we're going to get. It breaks us free of who we think we are. And usually we have a very narrow, limited concept of ourselves, and we stick to it. We keep playing it over and over and over again, and that's why and how we die. Through repetition and the same old, same old, same old. And, variety and diversity and circulation is the essence of life. And so the tarot says, yes, let's say in my case, I'm the so-called life card, the Hierophant, which means the teacher. Okay, that's one of my cards. I am that. That's what I do. Sometimes I even think I'm the emperor, Somebody is in control. But then, so I'm going to pick my cards today to see who am I today, because I have a card a day spiritual practice to grow myself into wholeness. Because the tarot is a roadmap of life. It is designed to give you the roadmap of how to achieve the state of wholeness of the mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual levels to be optimally healthy, to be happy, healthy, holy, and wealthy. Hey, we like that, and it's fun, But it's so interesting, back to the card today. So I'm thinking I'm the teacher here today or whatever. And I turn over the card and it's like, wow, the fool. The fool, wait a minute, who's fooling who here? But that's one of the cards in the tarot. So what it does is it liberates us from these old self-concepts and self-images, which are very defining and confining and limiting of the greatness of who we are. So I wanted to create the 78 card deck into a journey into the inner universe. And at the time I was making these collage cards, they're really richly entailed art cards, really. The Voyager spacecraft was going around our solar system taking the pictures of all the different planets. And well, I said, well, that's the journey to the external universe, and the tarot is a journey to the inner universe. And I said, wow, that is going to be the name of this deck. It's a magnificent multicultural journey. So it makes Voyager a very rich map, psychological tool, and political system. I've always been interested in decision making. How do we make a decision? Okay. Now, as a political scientist, I can take a look at a country or a tribe or a community or an organization or a family and kind of analyze and discern how decisions are made in those collectives, in those groups. And that's kind of interesting. But at some point, because I got hooked on the spiritual path in the early 70s in India, I got really sick with hepatitis, so I went to a monastery and healed myself by running gold lights down to my liver. And so when I walked out of the monastery, after a month without medication, my hepatitis was gone. So was my political science, because I thought, well, that's interesting talking about all of that out there, but what's a lot more fascinating is what's in here. And so I started getting into the tarot through a number of circumstances. I just said yes to it. And I realized that the 78 cards represent the 78 different voters, if you will, or even interest groups in the body politic or the self politic. We're all a government unto ourselves. We have to run our lives. We have to lead our lives. We have to govern our lives. And who's running the show here? I mean, who is running the show? And there's an incredible revolution going on in psychology right now. And this is not something that a lot of people want out because it terrifies a lot of people, which is because of the neuroscience studies of the brain. We now know that even though we think that our life is based upon how we think and our lives are directed by how we think, not true. Not true. Almost all decisions are made within 1/4 of a second, which we cannot even compute. That is super fast. Done. You've already decided something. And then what do? Well, let me think about it, and then we go into paralysis through analysis and into the but I'm not sure, but that, and then we sit on our butts get big, and we do nothing, and we die. I'm talking about a waste of time. So the world of psychology is being turned upside down. It's not about all this way we think, even in our beliefs, which are important, no doubt, but at a deeper level, this intuitive level, at this, invisible, mysterious level, that's what's really running our lives. We used to think that the sun revolved around the earth. And then all of a sudden, these scientists, Copernicus and all these people said, wait a minute. In fact, the earth is revolving around the sun. That is what's happening with us today. We thought our lives were revolving around the thinking brain, and we're finding that is not true. The thinking brain is simply rationalizing and giving reasons to the intuitive brain, which is decided in a nanosecond, just like that. And honestly, if we just went with that intuitive insight that's immediate and didn't spend all our time thinking, because thinking depletes energy. Because really what we're talking about is greening yourself, being able to renew yourself and sustain. I think the holy grail of today is re-R-E, the ability to re-energize, reinvent, renew, regenerate, rejuvenate, to keep getting up and again and keep kind of going. That's here. So all of this thinking is like, it's depleting our energy, and we don't need that to happen. And so that's just one aspect of the tarot. Like one aspect of the tarot is about what's going on mentally here. Another aspect is what's going on emotionally. Another what's going on physically and spiritually. So we're taking a look at all the different aspects of ourselves. And again, who's making the decision here? Who really is making the decision? So, for example, I might say, well, I'm in charge of my life, James, right here, and then I ask the question, who is in charge? Who is in charge? And let's say I pick the card, let's just say, for example, compassion. One of the cards in Voyager. I say, wow, compassion. Compassion is in charge? What do you mean by that? Okay, what that means is actually through the mirror neurons, which brain neuroscience has discovered these days, we are automatically empathic. So I'm now here in this room with the filmmaker here, or with you and with that and all the rest. And the minute, whatever context we go in, we naturally mirror. We are empathic creatures. We naturally meld and blend into who they are and what's going on. So in effect, what rules us is the context. What runs our ship, it might be the other person that we're talking to, because we go into their space if we want to communicate. If we don't want to communicate, we go into the cave, we live the hermit's life, which, by the way, is another one of the cards in the tarot. And the tarot says, you need to be a hermit. You need to be able to say no to everything and go inside and regenerate through the meditative process, or even a good sleep, And the tarot says, as much as you need to be the hermit, whole, self-sufficient, able to renew and heal yourself, you need to be the lovers. Wow. And it's like, part of me goes like, wait a minute, which part of me? I'm part lovers and I'm part hermit. What should I do about my relationship? And that's one of the great things I've done, because I'm president of my James Wanless Inc. or James Wanless, country. Let's just say that. And I have a little bit of a dispute between my inner lover and my inner hermit. And it's almost like Obama getting people down. Okay, Republicans and Democrats, let's sit down together and talk. So I said to myself, okay, I'm going to get my inner hermit and my inner lover together and have a conversation, and literally have a conversation. So my hermit says, lover James, you love romance and you love relationship. Oh, don't you? But really, the real nitty gritty, it's all about you. So get your own act together. And my lover is just horrified, like, get over that. It's all about relationship. We live in community. That's the name of the game, and it's survival of the most cooperative. So it's all about relationships. And then the hermit goes on, and then the lover comes back. It's an incredible political / psychological / therapeutic tool and process to activate, to become more integrated, more whole, and resolve a lot of these inherent inner contradictions and conflicts. So a lot of we're a multidimensional human being. We have the fool and the emperor and the lover and the hermit and the sun and the moon and all these different characters in us. But sometimes they're not all activated because they don't all get along. They're at conflict with each other. And so if you take any issue in your life, any so-called problem you might have or challenge, ask who are the inner characters, these sub-personalities, which I would call personality archetypes, and that's what's in the tarot, and identify their voices and have a sit down and let them speak together, come together, and resolve. What a great conflict resolution process and a way of becoming integrated to yourself. And that's what the tarot is all about, is learning how to become that whole person. So thank you for watching and listening to this. Again, I am James Wanless, and I'm at James Wanless at Comcast.net, 831-915-0178. Thank you.